Hello, my loves. Welcome to this Taurus new moon reading. This reading is for you if you have Sagittarius rising and or if 28 degrees 26 minutes of Taurus shows up in your 6th house. Welcome in. If you have not already watched the introduction to this reading and you want to learn more about what it is that we're talking about here, link is in the description and popping up on YouTube. So the 6th house is where this new moon in Taurus is going to be pinging for you. It's where it's going to be focusing the attention, the spotlight of this phase. This new beginning is going to be happening in this area of your life. The 6th house is the house of health, ruled by the 6th sign of the zodiac, which deals with the areas of our life dealing with healing, vitality, pets, service, and wellness. So this is where in your life we're going to be applying this understanding, we're going to be focusing the advice that we're getting, but also I want you to be focusing on what is happening new in your life in this area. This reading is twofold. We're going to be going into a part of the reading where you're being guided to just get the guidance that's coming through for you. I'm really being invited by this Taurus new moon to activate within you in a deeper way your own understanding of the messages that are coming through. The karma cards that we are going to be using are always aligned for giving messages to the recipient rather than giving messages that the reader can then interpret for the recipient. So we're going to be using this deck, and you're going to be invited to read the message of this card and then journal about what's coming through. I'm inviting you to journal because we're going to want to put into physical form, Taurus is the physical world, your own understanding, your intuition that the Taurus new moon wants you to engage with. We're going to bring it into physical form by putting words to what we understand to be the messages that are coming through for us. And I do invite you to relate the messages that are coming through to this area of your life. Then we'll move on to the Angel Therapy deck, which we used for the 2 new moons in Aries that we had in the solar eclipse. And we're going to be reviewing the card that came through in those readings and applying the information to the 6th house and relating it back to the human condition. So here are the karma cards, and here's how you read them. You read them across, okay? And there's a spiritual message, which is the first line. The second line is the mental message, and the third line is the physical message that comes through. So you'll read that first sentence first once I flip over this next card. So defend your beliefs, ... accept the costs of ... and let your feelings tell you how to use the most direct way, and ... So you'll see the moon and the Taurus card are already shown here, and then in the 6th house is the card that I have here. It's going to finish the sentences for you and give you your guidance. So if you haven't already grabbed a journal, close your eyes, taken a few deep breaths, and opened your heart to receive the guidance most aligned for you at this time, here's your invitation to do that. If you want to call in any energies that you like to work with outside of yourself, God, Goddess, angels, guardians, ancestors, star family, you can call them in to be here. Just ask that they be here in unconditional love and for your highest good and the highest good of all. Now for this part in particular, I do want you to pause and write down and journal what's coming through for you. What messages are you receiving? What does this message make you think about? What parts in your life, especially related to your health and wellness and service, do you feel like this is guiding you to? What do you think this is telling you? And all of the sentences may resonate with you, and maybe it's just one, and maybe it's 2. So your spiritual message is defend your beliefs as a full-time job. Pause, journal, come back when you're ready. The mental message is to accept the costs of serving. Pause and journal, come back when you're ready. What does that mean to you? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? Physical message. Let your feelings tell you how to use the most direct way and do it a little at a time. Again, pause, journal, interact with this material as you're being called to. Write down everything you can think of and everything that you're feeling resonant with these messages. Okay, could be one of them, could be all of them. And then you can continue on with me. So here's your card that came through in the Aries readings. We're reviewing it here. The law of attraction. Relationships and activities that you once enjoyed are now changing as you become more sensitive and aware of energies. And you got this in your 5th house at first. And so we were relating it to that place. And now we're going to move it into this house of service, house of health and wellness. So here's the thing that understanding the human condition really offers. It's this awareness, an explanation of the questions that were never answered when we were kids. Okay, why is the world this way? Why does this happen? Why are we not loving towards each other? Why are we so mean to each other? Why am I not always perfect? Why are my caregivers not always perfect and loving? As you begin to understand this information, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, please watch the introduction to this reading. It'll catch you up to speed on what it is that we're discussing here. But as we begin to understand everything through this understanding, we finally have this question answered. And now we're going back and looking at our relationships and looking at the activities that we used to engage in. And we're going to recognize that a lot of them don't resonate anymore. That a lot of them we were engaging in these relationships and activities from a place of misinformation. And now that we have more information, it's natural that our relationships and our activities are going to change. For you, particularly with this being in the 6th house now, and us focusing here, it's likely that your health and wellness is being affected by this, that you're making different choices for your health, making different wellness choices. Definitely healthier relationships will serve you in this way as well. But how you spend your time, particularly in how you serve, and particularly in the activities that you engage in for wellness, are going to change with this understanding. Again, this understanding is that there's nothing wrong with you. So any activities that you engage in because you feel that there's something wrong with you when you're running from that, they're going to shift because you don't need to run anymore. You've stopped, you've turned around, you've faced that thing that you've been running from, and you've recognized, oh, this isn't what I thought it was at all. Cool. Well, now I don't have to do these things that I've been doing to run from this because I've stopped running. Okay? So just recognize that the things that you used to do and like and enjoy are shifting because you're more aware of why you were choosing them. You were choosing them to run from something that you don't have to run from anymore. So naturally they're going to change. It's going to be a little bit different this time around. I'm tapping in here to see if there's anything else to share with you. You're a lot more sensitive now too, as you become more aware of the upset of the human condition, your own upset. Remember that we've been coping and running from this upsetting question that hasn't been answered our entire lives. Why are we fighting with each other? Why are we not cooperative and loving? Why? No one's been able to answer that. The question has now been answered because our intellect has been trying to develop through learning through cause and effect. It's had to experience what is not loving and cooperative in order to understand why love and cooperation is what it really wants to choose. Okay? In the introduction, I likened it to a parent giving advice to a child, not being able to explain why the child should do that, and then the child needing to experience whatever it is so that the child knows what the parent was talking about. Okay? The child has its own experience and now has its own understanding of why not to do whatever. we've been going through that as a human species. That's why we haven't been loving and cooperative to each other. But now that we can face the truth, we found the understanding, we've gone through the experience of what not loving behavior is like, and we now know that there is great reason for the altruism, the cooperativeness, the love and compassion for each other. Now that we're sensitive to that, we see life in a whole different way. And you're going to see people in a whole different way. You're going to see their human condition, their coping, their ways of running from it. And keep in mind, there are socially acceptable ways of coping with the human condition and running from this question, and there are socially unacceptable ways. It tends to be that the more unacceptable ways are engaged by those who have had more trauma, less ideal, loving environment. But that's not always the case. But you're going to be able to see them differently. You're going to be more sensitive to them. You're going to want to serve in a different way with this understanding, with this knowledge. You're going to want to put different things into your body with this understanding and knowledge, and you're going to want to offer other people more compassion and serve other people in a new way with this new understanding. So really coming to terms with what this discovery that Jeremy Griffith has put together and been perpetuating and bringing to humanity for 30 years now, more than that, since the 1980s. He's been working on getting this message and information out to the collective. And there's been a lot of resistance to this understanding and awareness because it shifts so completely our focus. And we now have the impetus to work cooperatively and collaboratively together. And that is not profitable for those who are benefiting off of our competition and off of our selfishness. But things are changing for you with this understanding. So if you don't understand the what it is that I've been describing, if you haven't watched that interview yet, please go ahead and do that if you feel called, because there's so much there for you to understand. And with this new awareness and understanding, you're going to see the things that you've been doing change, the relationships that you have change, and the way that you want to serve in the world change as well. Okay? Let me know if you have questions. Let me know how this resonates. And as always, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors the universal light within you. Namaste.